They called it the Miradan signal. It was faint, distorted, and centuries overdue. But when the Terran fleets heard it, every ship, every captain, every crew, they turned toward the source without a second thought. Because long ago, the Miradans had saved one human life. And humanity never forgot. 206 years earlier, the Starship Odyssey's grace limped through the void. Engines crippled, oxygen low, captain unconscious. The survivors had stopped hoping. Their distress beacon had gone unanswered for weeks. Then, in the black silence of the outer rim, a small alien vessel appeared. They called themselves the Miradans, soft-voiced, luminous-eyed beings whose world was built on peace and art, not war. They had never met humans before that day. Their leader, Elder Vera, looked upon the dying crew and said, "No species deserves to vanish unseen." They took the humans aboard, healed them, fed them, shared their air and their warmth. And when the humans returned home, Captain Elias Ward swore a vow before the Galactic Council. If the Miradans ever call for help, humanity will answer. No one took it seriously then. The Miradans were a quiet people, far beyond the borders of any empire. They had no armies, no weapons, no ambitions. But vows, to humans, are sacred. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell. The name Miradan faded into stories. Children grew up hearing of the gentle lights beyond the rim, but few believed they'd ever existed. Until one quiet evening aboard the TSS Valiant, a deep space patrol ship near the Sagittarius Gate. Lieutenant Commander Rhea Ward, descendant of Captain Elias Ward, was reviewing signal traffic when her console flickered. A strange, rhythmic pulse appeared, an old frequency, encoded in Terran Standard. Her eyes widened. She called for her captain. The captain, an older woman with the hardened calm of long service, leaned in. "Playback." Rhea obeyed. The signal played, broken, ancient static. Then a voice. Weak, cracking, but unmistakably alive. "This is Murata. If there are any Terrans, we need help." Silence followed. Then static again. Rhea whispered, "That's impossible. Murata was wiped out centuries ago." The captain's jaw clenched. "Origin. Outer Rim. Near the old trade routes." The captain straightened. "Alert Fleet Command. Send priority Alpha Relay." Within an hour, every Terran listening post from Mars to Vega heard the same pulse. And somewhere deep within the Titan command nexus, a dormant protocol flickered to life. Ward's oath. Activated. Across the stars, Terran captains paused mid-mission. One aboard a freighter near Andromeda. Another stationed with the 3rd Frontier Defense Fleet. Even mercenary groups and retired admirals received the signal. Encrypted, old-style, but unmistakable. It wasn't a command. It wasn't an order. It was a promise. And humanity kept its promises. One by one, Terran ships changed course. Civilian crafts, military destroyers, research vessels. They burned through slip space, defying orders and risking charges of desertion, because the message was clear. The Miradans called, and every Terran heart answered. At the edge of the galaxy, the Miradan system burned. The Tval Dominion, a brutal empire of raiders, had descended on the peaceful world like locusts. Their warships blackened the skies, and their soldiers herded civilians into containment domes. The Miradans had no weapons. They sent out pleas for help to every empire they'd ever traded with. None came, until the sky tore open, and a Terran warship emerged from the void. Then another, and another. Within minutes, the entire horizon filled with Terran hulls. Battlecruisers, carriers, freighters retrofitted for rescue. Old ships flying obsolete flags, and new ones gleaming with the Terran Union's emblem. At their head, the TSS Valiant, with Rhea Ward at the helm. The Tval flagship turned its guns toward them, scanning in disbelief. "This system is under Dominion occupation," their admiral snarled over open comms. "Identify yourselves." Rhea stood, her uniform immaculate, her eyes calm. "Terran Union Fleet," she said, responding to a distress call from Murata. The alien sneered. "That world belongs to us now." Rhea's lips curled into something between sadness and fire. "Then you'll forgive us," she said quietly, "for taking it back." The battle that followed was spoken of for generations. The Tval forces outnumbered the Terrans 5-1. Their ships were heavier, faster, and designed for destruction. But the Terrans had something no empire ever understood: memory. They fought not for conquest, not for glory, but for a promise made long ago by a dying crew to the gentle lights that had saved them. Human ships fought like living storms. The Valiant cut through the enemy formation, its railguns tearing apart hulls at close range. The Resolute took a direct hit protecting refugee transports. Even cargo haulers rammed into Dominion cruisers, detonating warp cores to save civilians. And through it all, the Marauders watched from their shattered cities, silent, awestruck. When the Dominion admiral demanded surrender, Rhea Ward sent one message back: humanity doesn't forget its friends. Then she fired. By dawn, the Dominion fleet was gone. What remained of Murata floated in golden light, cities scarred but alive. Terran medics poured through the streets, helping the wounded, sharing water, building shelters. Rhea stepped onto Miradan's soil, the bracelet on her wrist still humming with the signal that started it all. Elder Terra, the last surviving council leader, approached her, frail but standing tall. "You came," she whispered. "After all this time you came." Rhea smiled softly. "My ancestor made a promise." The elder's eyes shimmered with tears. "So many ages passed, we thought you'd forgotten." "Humans forget many things," Rhea said, her gaze lifting toward the Terran ships burning bright in the sky. "But not kindness." News spread like wildfire through the galaxy. Empires that had mocked humanity's sentimentality now whispered in awe. The species that once called humans impulsive and emotional began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, that was their strength. Because when the Miradan signal went out, humanity didn't ask for politics. They didn't negotiate. They simply came. Some came in old, rusted ships held together by hope. Some came with weapons. Some came just to help rebuild. But all came for the same reason: because someone, somewhere, once showed mercy to a single human. And humanity's answer was overwhelming. Years later, a monument stood in Murata's capital, a shining pillar engraved with the names of every Terran ship that responded to the call. At its base, the inscription read, "To those who remembered, and those who answered." Rhea Ward stood before it, older now, her uniform faded with time. Beside her stood a young Miradan child, glowing eyes wide with wonder. "Why did you come?" the child asked softly. Rhea smiled. "Because once, your people saved one of ours. And that's something my kind never forgets." The child tilted her head. "Even after centuries?" Rhea nodded. "Especially after centuries." Above them, Terran and Miradan flags fluttered together in the wind, two worlds bound not by power, but by memory. And somewhere in the stars, the echoes of that old signal still drifted, a pulse carried on cosmic winds. A promise kept, a friendship renewed, a reminder that even in the vast, cold dark, humanity remembers.